Welcome, everyone. We made it. We're at the playoffs. Wildcard weekend is amongst us. We are the Sports Buds. I'm Chris Billings. I'm joined by Tony Reyes and Nick Kerr. Nick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I mean, my team is in the playoffs, but it sort of doesn't feel that way.
I've been telling you this all week, though.
Yeah.
Shut up. You're in the playoffs. Be happy. Um, I will say this before I get to Tony. What is it with the Miami Dolphins? Always taking their backup QBs to the playoffs.
I know. I was
What
thinking the
is
same
going
thing.
on?
It really does feel like 2016 all over again, because in that 2016 year, Gase and Tannehill were very cohesive with the offensive play calling, and then Tannehill got injured late in the year. Matt Moore, playoff game against Pittsburgh, no chance. It just has that same feeling.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And the
It's
thing is,
just
that year too, Tannehill did beat Pittsburgh earlier in the year, so
yes,
it
he
would have
did.
been a matchup that
Yep.
he could have. It just has that same feeling.
Very much does. All right, Tony, you're also welcome to the playoffs. Your team made it. Not quite the fashion you wanted either, but hey, tickets punched. You're in the dance. How you feeling?
Anxious, nervous. Definitely doesn't feel like deja vu from last year.
It probably doesn't help that your game's on Monday night
Yeah.
either. So like you're really having to hold out to the bitter end.
Thank you, NFL. Thank you.
That's gonna be a rough one. I will say
Mhm.
this about somebody that's watched my team lose in the playoffs. It is kind of nice when you have those early afternoon games and then
Yeah.
you can kind of just chill and be like, you know what? Like reflect on the season. This sucked, but whatever. Not for
Yeah.
Tony. Not for Tony.
No, I'm at least gonna have a 3-hour drive home from my in-laws to think about this. Let it stew, or be happy.
Nick already has it all planned out. He's prepared for rain, hoping for sunshine.
Yeah. In Florida, you never know.
Well, let's dive into it. Like we said in the last post game, we're just gonna talk the playoffs today. So, starting first thing, every playoff matchup this weekend is a rematch from earlier in the season. So, I'll ask you this: is it gonna have any effect on these games? I'm gonna start with you, Tony.
Yes, I think so. That familiarity is gonna go ahead and change some things. I think you're gonna have some surprises that you don't expect.
Do you think your team will be one of those surprises?
Maybe, hopefully.
Never beat Brady.
Yeah.
So, is this the time? Do you get him when he's low?
I hope so. The last road playoff win was 1992. Some streaks need to end. It would be good to win a road playoff game. I hope so. I'm really looking forward to it. Kind of.
All right. I will tell you why we all need to be Cowboys fans this weekend, because if the Cowboys do not beat the Bucs, Tom Brady is not going to retire.
Yeah.
And so no pressure. Nick, what about you? What do you think about with your team as well? Having one of these playoff rematches, it's going to be technically round 3 for you
Mhm.
and the Bills. What are your thoughts going into this? Do you think that's going to give any advantage possibly to the Dolphins in this game?
I mean, the Dolphins have played well against them. They were able to, in the first meeting down in Florida, able to get off the field on third down, limit the points, because there's only been 2 games all year that the Bills haven't scored at least 20, and that happened to be one of them. So I think having Tua out and this, the Bills haven't seen Skylar Thompson. Not that there's really much tape on him, but I think it's going to come down to defense for the Dolphins to have a chance. So I think that familiarity with seeing them twice already and actually having 2 very good games against them could help.
So you have no faith in Teddy Bridgewater
I
starting.
mean, It's all about the distance that he could throw. He's been able to grip the ball better, but if he can't throw the ball downfield and he's having a problem because of the dislocated pinky, I think take your chances with Skyler.
Okay. Okay. I mean, obviously, with these games all being rematches, I think it's gonna
Mhm.
have an effect
Yeah.
on these games, specifically your guys' two games. Um, I think the Cowboys very much want to beat Tom Brady. They want to beat
Mhm.
the Bucs. If you look at it, that was one of the worst losses this season against the Bucs, a game that when you look back on it, very much should have won. And then Bills Fins becoming just a rivalry in the
Yeah.
NFL. You hope it continues. That's kind of pending to his health,
Mhm.
unfortunately, but we'll see. It's been great so far, and I want to see it continue. And
Yeah.
it's disappointing that the Dolphins have to go in with a backup, but I think that the familiarity with the Bills will work to their advantage. So, um, Florida teams. We get 3 days of
Yeah.
Florida football this week. Saturday, we get the Jags. Sunday, we get the Dolphins, and then Monday we get the Bucs. We'll go to our Florida correspondent on this one. Thoughts on all Florida teams making it? That's
I mean, it's the first time it's happened this century. So that's saying something. It doesn't happen that often. Usually it's one, two, or sometimes all three of the teams really stink and they're never really good at the same time. So big for Florida. All three teams make the playoffs. See how long they last though.
I think it is pretty big for these teams especially because the Bucs have a notorious history,
Hmm.
Jags have a notorious history. Dolphins have a history as well. So see all of them in the playoffs. Good for Florida, bad for the rest of America. Tony, do you have any thoughts on the Florida playoffs?
No. No thoughts on
All right, moving on. So we did find out that if the Bills and Chiefs meet in the AFC Championship, that they will be playing in Atlanta.
Mhm.
Tony, do you have any thoughts on that? Two cold weather teams playing in a dome.
The NFL is pulling some shenanigans. Chiefs fans and Bills fans had to travel to Atlanta for that game. Like, what kind of home field advantage is that? Like, that's horrible. Like, they're just trying to put them in like the best environment to score as many points as possible. I really don't know why they didn't just choose Indianapolis. Seemed like that was like the middle ground. I just seemed like if they wanted to go dome, that was the one to pick. So I was pretty surprised that they chose Atlanta.
Nick?
I mean, I'm not as surprised because they built that stadium to host championship games. So it just seems like the logical place because it's an NFC. It's a yeah, it's an NFC stadium, so it's not like they're going to a neutral site that's the AFC, like Tony was suggesting in Indianapolis. It gives it more of a neutral site because it's not even the same conference.
True.
Yeah, I agree. I think it really came down to there's two stadiums the NFL's still paying off. It's the
Hmm.
Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta and it's SoFi Stadium behind me.
Yep.
So it was, hey,
Yeah.
two East Coast teams, Atlanta they go. To Tony's point, I also think that Indy, their stadiums kind of lost that prime and luster with stadiums like SoFi, um, the Raiders Stadium, Atlanta, etc. So it's new age of stadiums.
You need that circular jumbotron.
It's nice. It's nice.
Hmm.
Somebody told me that it was a pretty nice screen.
It is a pretty nice screen in person.
All right. So Tony, I have a question for you. We talked about it a little bit on the post game. Is this a win-win game for the Cowboys? And what do I mean by that is if they win against the Buccaneers, you want a playoff game, McCarthy's safe, you move on. If they lose this game, I think they move on from McCarthy and Sean Payton becomes the coach of the Cowboys. Thoughts on that?
I don't think McCarthy's safe even if he wins this game.
Oh.
I think that team has to go to the NFC Championship game. Hyper analysis aside, Dak Prescott's by far the best quarterback in the NFC playoffs. I'm just like, how are they even comparing these other quarterbacks to him? If they can't take that team to the NFC Championship game, that's going to be a disappointment because that's why McCarthy was hired, was to win these games. Like, I've been to this playoffs and wildcard round plenty of times before with Jason Garrett. They have to win these playoff games. That's why they hired McCarthy.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Nick, any thoughts on this for the Cowboys? On just with Sean Payton looming, he kind of has loomed over this team. It seems like almost for 5 years now. Does it finally happen?
I'm I agree with Tony. I mean, even with this win, even if they get this win, it still might not be safe because we saw toward the end of the year, this team on paper is probably one of the best in the NFL. I have no disagreement with that. But they've underachieved. And obviously Garrett wasn't the answer. McCarthy might not be the answer either. So why not move on? Even if they win a game or two. I think they'd actually have to win the Super Bowl for him to stay.
Dang. Honestly, I'd say even if you don't get Sean Payton, elevate Dan Quinn.
Yep, that could be the move too.
All right, let's start getting into these. Well, first, one more question before we get into these games. The Vikings shit the bed. They have some brutal luck in the playoffs and doesn't catch up with them again. We've been saying, the three of us, all season that they're a phony team. We're just waiting for it. I've personally said, hey, awesome for the Vikings. They're just going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. Here we are. I think they shit the bed. Nick, what are your thoughts on the Vikings?
Is 4:30 on Sunday considered prime time?
But
They are
eventually,
the only game on.
it's going to get into prime time, though. That's
Good point.
the worry. Is fourth quarter will most likely be in
Yes.
prime time.
Yes, and I mean the Vikings did have a great record this year in one-score games, but I think this is going to be the time where that luck runs out. And like you said, it will be getting into prime time by the time the fourth quarter. I think that the true Kirk Cousins will show up.
Oh, if there's any sort of delay to the beginning of that game, Kirk Cousins will be out there like, let's get this
Hey,
wrapped
there
up.
could be a halftime show as well. It takes a
Yeah,
little longer.
he's gonna be like, you got a fucking band? What? Like, Tony, thoughts on the Vikings?
The Vikings are going to win. I've just decided that the Vikings are going to win. I think the Giants are like the most public playoff dog I've seen other than Tampa. So I think the Vikings don't shit the bed. I think they win this game.
Okay. If they do lose this game, all hell is gonna break loose.
Yep, I agree.
All right. One last question. Are we watching the Super Bowl Super Bowl team this weekend? Tony?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I agree. The Super Bowl teams are playing this weekend. Both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say we're only watching one Super Bowl team because I still think the Chiefs are the best in the league right now. Eagles, your phony team.
Mhm.
All right, let's kind of get into it. What do you guys think is the best worst matchup that we have so far? And we're looking at Seahawks at Niners on Saturday, Chargers at Jags, Sunday, Dolphins at Bills, Giants at Vikings, Ravens at Bengals, and then Monday, Cowboys at Bucs.
Let's see.
Tony?
I'd say probably.
Oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Nick.
Alright, I would probably say worst matchup is going to be Sunday Night Football if Lamar doesn't play, because these teams just played last week and the Bengals just stomped them. So
I agree.
I'm in full agreement with you, Nick. That's yeah. With no Lamar Jackson, like there's no excitement to that Ravens
Mhm.
team. And you figure easily the Bengals are going to stomp over it. Even I'd say if this game was an upset and the Ravens won, it's kind of just a disservice to the next game. So, yeah, full agreement there. So, our preseason predictions, it looks like Tony got 4 of the 8 divisional picks right, got 2 of the 6 wild card picks right. So, total of 10 of 14 playoff positions correct. Nick, 3 of 8 for the divisions, 2 of 6 for the wild card. He was 10-14 for the playoffs as well. And then me, 2 of 8 for the divisions, 0 for 6 for the wild card. Ouch. Ouch. Of course, notably, one of my Super Bowl picks was the Colts.
Yeah. I had the Packers, so
They looked much better than the Colts, so I still have one pick in there and my Super Bowl champ, which was the Niners. Looks like Nick picked the Bills for his championship pick. Tony picked the Niners as well. Niners Chargers, they're both in it.
mhm.
So let's dive into it. First game of Wild Card Weekend, Seahawks at Niners. Beginning of the week, this line was at 10, not much movement. It's now at 9.5. Unlike previous weeks, we usually have our picks early, but now we're doing them live. We kind of wanted to just hold back. Honestly, I didn't know who to pick in some of these games, so
Yeah.
let's get at it. We're gonna start with you first, Nick. Seahawks at Niners. Who's your pick in this game? San Francisco favored by 9.5 points.
I'm gonna go Niners. That team's on a roll. I think the Geno Smith magic's gonna stop. I think the Niners win that probably easily. They're probably supposed to. I think they're supposed to have some bad weather there, so that could affect that game as well.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna go Seahawks cover, Niners win. So I am gonna take the Seahawks at plus 9.5. Tony, who do you have in this game?
I agree with you. The Seahawks, they're going to cover this. I think this game is a field goal game. I think they muck it up. Pete Carroll cooks up something, and Brock Purdy isn't in cruise control the whole game like he's been the last couple of months. I think it's an ugly game, like Nick was saying with the weather. I think it's a lot closer than we expect, and I think it's going to be about a field goal game. And that's the third time they faced. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Yep, divisional game, but that
Mhm.
officially makes Nick a Lonely Island pick.
Yes.
So, see how that goes, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Next game up, Chargers at Jaguars. Beginning of the week, Chargers were favored by 1 point. They're now favored by 2.5 points. So 1.5 movement here. First, we'll start with Tony on this pick. Who do you have? Chargers at Jags.
The Chargers, they have to win this game. If they don't win this game, this is where Sean Payton is going to go. This is going to be a landing spot. I mean, the media loves to hype up Herbert. This is the quarterback battle that is the most hyped up as can be. Both of them comparing flows and hair. I mean, it's going to be Herbert versus Lawrence. The Chargers have to win this game if he's that guy.
All right. Chargers it is. Nick, who you got in this game?
I'm gonna go with the Jags in this game.
Oh,
I've been saying it all year. I don't believe in Justin Herbert. I think he does something late to wreck his chances of going to the next round. Jags at home.
I like it. I like it. All right. That means I am the tiebreaker here. Is somebody going to be on the Lonely Island? I'm also going with the Jaguars. I think they're going to upset the Chargers in typical San Diego, Los Angeles fashion. They choke. They have bad luck in this game. Kickers miss field goals. Balls get tipped. Jags win this game. Tony, you're on a lonely island.
Fair.
Next up, first game of Sunday, the Miami Dolphins at Buffalo Bills. The beginning of this week, that spread was at 10.5. It's now moved to 13. Trending that Tua most likely will not
Yeah.
start. Teddy will not start. We'll start with our Dolphin aficionado and Tuanon co-founder, Nick Kerr. Who do you got? Dolphins, Bills. Official spread 13 points. The Bills.
I mean, I'm not delusional. I don't think the Dolphins are going to win this game, but I do think they cover. I think 3 times playing each other, division matchup. They've played well, like I alluded to earlier. This series, yes, Tua did play both those games, but the defense has showed up in these matchups, and I think that's what's going to take to keep this close. I think that 13 points is too much. I think yeah. I'll go with the Dolphins to
Dolphins
cover
keep
on
it
this.
close and they don't get blown out in this game. Do you consider it a successful season for Miami?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been to the playoffs since 2016. This is only our 3rd time in the playoffs since 2000. Successful season. Something to build upon.
All right. I like it. Tony, who do you have? Dolphins at Bills.
Dolphins cover this. Too many points. Bills are due for an emotional letdown after last week. Kick returns from Naheem Hines, the DeMar Hamlin, all of that. They're due for an emotional letdown. No one's going to be picking the Dolphins. Dolphins are going to hear all that noise. They're going to, like Nick said, their defense is going to come out. They're going to compete. And if they stay with the run game works against anyone.
It
Will be
does.
able to keep that game close.
All right. All right. No lonely islands in this game. Full agreement. I'm going with the Dolphins as well. I think that spread's too big. Usually when you have divisional opponents going up against each other their 3rd time, it's a very close game. There's a lot of familiarity between these teams. And so, no, don't see that happening. I think Dolphins stick to the run game. Full agreement. All right. Next game for Sunday, Giants at the Minnesota Vikings. To begin the week, this spread was at 3. To end the week, this spread's at 3. No movement.
Yeah.
We'll start with Tony. Who do you have? NY Giants, your divisional opponent against the Minnesota Vikings.
Vikings are winning this game. Vikings and Giants are the same team. It's literally the exact same team. Kirk Cousins is just an advanced form of Daniel Jones. They are going to win this game on some shenanigans, some late field goal like they did the first time. Justin Jefferson probably has himself a day, but the Vikings are going to win this game.
All right. I am going to go with, since I have integrity, like I keep telling the audience, I stand by what I say. And I said the Vikings were going to lose the first round of the playoffs. I still believe that. Giants with the upset. That means, Nick, you have the tiebreaker. Who do you have?
I mean, we talked about it earlier in the show. I think Giants are going to win this game because the Vikings shit the bed in the 4th quarter.
Woo! Tony on a lonely island picking the favorite in the Minnesota Vikings, a team that went 14-3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
13-4? I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's a square play.
Yeah.
It's a square play, okay? It's a square play.
All right, Sunday Night Football. Probably the least interesting game of the weekend. Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. To begin the week, the Bengals are favored by 6.5. As of right now, that spread's down at 9.5. The biggest movement of any of the spreads this weekend, indicating that Lamar Jackson is most likely not going to start. I think that means Huntley's in line to start.
Yeah.
That's still a question mark as well. I'll start on this game. I think the Bengals cover. I think they get their 9.5. They win by double digits in this game, and it's just because I think like Ravens just haven't had any energy or momentum this season. If Lamar Jackson's not out there and they can't rally behind them, I think mentally they've already checked out on this year. So I'm going Bengals. Next, we'll go with Nick.
I agree with you, Chris. I think the Bengals are going to cover on this. They've been on a roll lately. They still have that bitter taste in their mouth from losing the Super Bowl last year. I don't think they go out in the first round, and I think they try to make a statement with it, especially with Lamar being out.
All right. And what also could potentially be their only game they're playing at home, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Unless there's a couple upsets.
yeah, Tony, who do you have? Ravens, Bengals. Are you gonna go on a lonely island, or are we gonna have a consensus on this?
Just build me a hotel for this lonely island because that's where I'm staying. Give me the Ravens. This game has backdoor cover written all over it. It's going to be like a 14-point lead, 17-point lead for the Bengals. The Ravens are going to score on special teams or a pick six late. They're going to cover backdoor. Give me the Ravens and all those points.
All right, we'll give it to you.
No hesitation.
You can have it. Final game of the week. Doing something a little bit different. Monday Night Football for this wild card weekend. Dallas Cowboys at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers, not Buccaneers. No movement in this line. It began at 2.5. It ended at 2.5. Let's start with our Cowboys correspondent, Mr. Tony Parlay Reyes. Give us a little bit on this game.
This game is the perfect microcosm of the Cowboys. At no point this season has anybody said the Bucs are good. The Cowboys have a Super Bowl roster. They have legit players up and down. Like if they don't win this game, it'll be a surprise. Like they have the better team, but they have the Tom Brady factor and the Cowboys history factor. I think the Cowboys are gonna win, but it's not gonna be pretty. I think it's gonna be ugly. I think it's probably gonna be like 20-17, something like that. And they just hold Tom Brady late and he has a chance to make a comeback and Micah Parsons or someone sacks him and prevents the comeback from happening.
All right. Nick, who are you having this game?
I've been back and forth. Honestly, I'm just going to blurt it out at some point. I still don't know who I'm going to pick because everything in me wants to pick the Cowboys. But because Tom Brady's on the other side of the ball, I'm going to go Cowboys. I can't do it. I can't pick Tom Brady. I can't do it, but it just something tells me he's gonna find a way to win.
He could. He could. I would not be surprised.
We talked about it. I'm with you, Nick. We're here at the end, the 11th hour. What's the pick? I'm with you there. Who was I gonna pick? And you know what? I said it during the season that I was like, just watch. Tom Brady's gonna fall ass backwards into that division. He's gonna fall ass backwards into the playoffs. And it's happening. He's most likely going to beat this Cowboys team. Is he gonna face a Giants team that he's finally gonna beat in the playoffs?
I don't know. That's his kryptonite.
But
it's not Eli though.
What a storybook ending for his career to finally beat the Giants in the playoffs. Get into the NFC Championship. Even if he does lose, people will be like, all right. Yeah, people will be like, hey, considering the crap season he had, what a storybook ending. What a way to go out, It wasn't exactly what he wanted. That's what's gonna happen. And I've been
he's gonna go
saying it.
beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl again.
I'm not gonna go that far. I think he loses most likely in the NFC Championship. but would not be surprised if he made it to the Super Bowl. If somehow the Niners lose and he just has to face, some mediocre teams, possible.
Yeah.
That's Tom Brady. Can't write that guy off. So I guess I'm on the lonely island for this game. I'm going with the Bucs. Even if the Cowboys win, it's gonna be 1 or 2 points. But
Yeah.
I'm warning the general public. Us personally, we have what probably 3 or 4 more weeks of these conversations to have, and I'll bring it up now. The specter of Tom Brady is looming. He's like this guy on my shirt. He's Michael Myers.
I don't know. Even if the Bucs win, they are losing the next game immediately to whoever they play. Philly will beat them. The Niners will beat them. Whoever they play.
What if they play the Giants?
They wouldn't play them. That's not how the seeding would happen.
Okay,
No.
you're right there, but
Yeah. Well, depending. If if the Giants won, the Giants would play the Eagles.
Right. Then the
So
Bucs
then the
Niners.
Bucs would play the Niners.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can have that reversed. Well, no, you don't want him winning in the NFC Championship game against the Giants.
That's where what Billings is talking about. Bucs,
Yeah.
Giants, NFC.
Yeah, you had it mixed. It would be
Yeah.
it'd be the Niners first and then the Giants.
Gosh, Bucs.
We don't want to see that.
Game. Why are you doing this to me, God?
If that happens, there's no way you can convince me that the NFL is not scripted. Seriously.
So officially, this will basically be like a show on WWE. That's what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Pretty much.
Daniel Jones.
And if that is the
Uh,
truth,
NFC Championship.
fuck the NFL for doing to me like this with my Dolphins. All right.
Tom Brady, he's that NWO wolf pack.
Yeah. He's Sting coming out of the rafters.
Oh, we can't get rid of him. Cannot get.
Nick might be onto something. His third eye is open on this
Yes.
one. All right, guys. Wild card weekend. We made it to the playoffs. Let's do some final thoughts. Nick, final thoughts with this.
I mean, this was fun. This was a really good season. I do not take any disappointment from it. I mean, a little, but hopefully I have a nice drive home.
Could be. Tony, final thoughts.
Don't do this to me again, God. Do not make me suffer again. Have I not been through enough?
He really has. He really has. Hey, here's hoping to you guys. I thought I'd be here in the playoffs with you guys. Definitely not the season I expected, but yes, it's been a
None of
fun
us.
NFL season. I've had a great time at least being able to cover the NFL with you guys this year.
Mhm.
And we've had some ups, we've had some downs, we've had some technical glitches, we've had people in just all kinds of different states this year, but we got here. We only have a few more weeks left, so I'm just happy to be here with you guys. I'm happy that people have gone the distance with us, so excited to just keep doing this playoff journey, even
Yeah.
if the Broncos fucking suck.
That's right,
Yeah.
people.
This
Football is a
season
state of mind.
yeah. This season has not gone the way any of us thought it was gonna go.
It's always
True.
silver linings, people.
Yep.
Silver lining. All right, let's get out of here. We'll see you next weekend for the divisional round of the playoffs. This is the Sports Buds signing off. Goodbye, you beautiful people.
Thanks for watching the Sports Buds. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.